One of my subscribers asked me to do a video on how to handle financial adversity. She said that many of her friends are struggling with this and she does not know what to tell them. And I would expect that with the economy having difficulties, that we are going to see a lot more people that are going to have financial troubles and that are going to be dealing with, and that might include your children, yourself. So I think it's a good topic to address, and I'm not going to say that I have all the answers, but I do have some suggestions that I think would be helpful. So I'm going to give it a try in this video. So first of all, I don't want to minimize financial hardship. It is a very, very difficult thing to face. Finances have a lot to do with our security. They have a lot to do with us feeling, as men and women, feeling like we can provide for our families, and has a lot to do with us feeling safe and feeling okay. It, for some, if it gets way down, I mean, obviously it has to do with maintaining life with our basic biological needs for safety, for shelter, for food. So taking care of our children with the things that we've provided them with, being able to even get to jobs, being able to pay bills for our utilities to keep our houses warm. So there's a lot at stake here. So I don't want to minimize it. Also, I personally feel strongly that it is not a sin to be concerned and to be worried. People have told me that they have had been met by many Christians with the attitude of, oh, just trust God. And I feel like that's really kind of minimizing what's going on, because this is a big deal. If you're looking at a dwindling bank account or a non-existing bank account and your rent is due, your mortgage is due, you're looking at bills that you absolutely can't pay. I mean, I hope that you're concerned. I hope that you're worried. I hope that you're worried enough to be kind of exhausting all resources and being kind of proactive and taking care of things that you can, and figuring out how to respond to this rather than thinking, oh, it's just going to go away. It'll be fine. God will take care of it. No, I think that we need to really be responsible for ourselves. So I don't think we should passively address this and say, oh, okay, God's going to take care of it. I think we should actively address it. You want to do the footwork. You want to be really creative in terms of options, whether that's a different job, a second job, maybe the spouse who hasn't been in the workplace working part-time or full-time, making some adjustments to schedules. I think you have options, maybe renting out a room in your house. None of these things are things we want to do. Sometimes they are things that we have to do when things get really difficult. It could be downsizing. It could be turning a leased car in, selling a car and getting a cheaper car that doesn't have a payment. You can try asking for scholarships for, say, places where your children are involved, if it's some type of extracurricular sport or lessons, or you could even consider trading something that you could give to the teacher and, say, return for piano lessons. You do some work for her, maybe you mow her lawn, or you offer some skill that you have to see if you can trade for that. I mean, these kinds of things can work, and we don't think of them because we're not in a position where we have to use them. But get creative. Start just looking at all those options. You want to talk to your credit card companies, see if you can make smaller payments. You can make deals with them so that you don't end up getting charged late fees and interest fees. You can maybe, if you're going to be losing your job, go to a credit card that has 0% interest and before you lose your job, so you'll be approved for the credit card. And again, going to banks, going to credit card companies, making arrangements to make payments that are less than the minimum, they work with you on things like this. So make sure you consider that. Church resources, churches have food banks. They often have a care ministry where they have finances where they'll help people for a short time. They may have scholarships available at a church school. They might have scholarships where they can help families with whatever it is that you need. Obviously, government resources. You can look into the things that are like food stamps, government Medi-Cal, if you're losing a job that has medical benefits. Do all these things proactively, not when you're, in a situation where it's too late and you actually need them. Well, I don't mean like getting your benefits early, but like say if you couldn't sign up for the insurance, the government provided insurance maybe before you get sick. Then also maybe you can, there's agencies that you can go talk to. You can talk to churches. Sometimes they know resources that are available in the community. You can go to families, your family. Nobody likes to do that. You don't like to go to family and tell them your business and let them, know that you're having problems, but you might need to. When you get into that situation, everyone's had time in their lives where they've been in a position where they've had to ask for help, or most people, I should say. And people are often, willing, if you give them the explanation, if you tell them everything that you're doing to address this, and ask them if you can do a loan, or maybe your parents can pick up a tuition for a child in a private school that you don't want to move in the middle of the year, or can pick up tuition for dance lessons or karate lessons that the kids are in that you're hoping not to drop. So all of those are options that you need to address. Least favorable is going into your equity on your home, because that can get you in a bad place quickly, especially in a market where housing values are going down. And also building up credit card debt is also not a good option, because of the fact that you're going to end up with high interest before you know it. And just emptying your bank accounts, obviously going into your savings is an option, but completely exhausting your savings is also not the first thing that you should look at. So you also want to work together with your whole family, the kids and everyone, and make a budget. How can you minimize spending? How can you spend less money on food? Difficult now. Food is outrageously high and could very likely go higher, but work out a budget. Minimize eating out. Eating out is tremendously expensive. Same thing with gas. You want to minimize your trips to where you're, driving. Maybe you do all your errands on, the same day, so that you're spending less money on gas. You got to just got to look at things. Be willing to look at things that can help, that are things that you normally don't have to look at. You might want to take a vacation. That's people very popular now is staycations. Instead of not canceling a vacation, but maybe doing a staycation, or maybe doing just local, so something that's different than you normally do, but still feels like a vacation. So the other issue that happens with this is that financial troubles put a huge amount of stress on relationships, and a lot of marriages have break up over this. It's really sad and unnecessary. Hopefully the situation isn't one in which you have one partner that refuses to work or lost the job due to, bad choices like drinking or something like that. But that makes it complicated if there's blame and anger involved in what has happened, rather than just a spouse losing a job because, part of the industry that job is in is experiencing massive layoffs, or, a company is doing massive layoffs, and, you're one of the last people to come to the company. So if you've got blame in that situation, it makes it much tougher. It isn't going to help to blame that person, although, you're obviously entitled to share feelings and concerns, but angrily blaming somebody for being in the situation you're in, is only going to cause that person to be more defensive and make it more difficult for you to work together to figure it out. So I would say get help for the relationship stress part of it. Try not to blame. Try not to make each other your enemies, but to rather work together. This is, like I said, I don't want to minimize it. The fear, the worry is real. Do everything you can proactively to address it, to deal with the fear and the worry. And then when you've done everything you can, the next step is to turn it over and trust God. Do you know that everything's going to turn out for good, or turn out well? Does it mean that sometimes I've seen many times where God has brought unexpected jobs, unexpected checks, really neat things that that, hey, God is working here, but it doesn't always happen. You cannot depend on it. So you got to do your part, if you got to do your part well. But should you end up losing a house, or your children, have to get out of a sport, or they are not able to, continue at a private school, these things are losses. They are something that has to be grieved. It's okay to grieve the loss of any of these things. Grieving the loss means that you're, first of all, and you're in denial. Then you go through anger, then you go through bargaining. How could we have made this not happen? How could this have been something that we could have prevented? And just kind of going over and over. And then the sadness, which is the depression and the feeling of this is bad and it hurts and it might never go away, but it does. And then you come into acceptance. So it is time during this time to focus on what matters most: being together, keeping your family together, keeping your relationships number one, banding together instead of being at each other's throats and blaming, and just learning to prioritize the things that matter: life, the fact that you are hopefully have your health. If you don't, this makes it even harder. But recognizing that the material things are of way less value than the relationship things, and also the fact that you have God working in your life, and all of that is working together. God will use this for good in you and in your children, in your marriage, but it doesn't mean it's not easy. It doesn't mean it's easy to go through. So it's very difficult. So look for resources that you have in the community, in the church. Have mentors, friends to walk beside you, have people praying for you. Do everything you can to do this together with other people. If you have a spouse that is not cooperative and you are dealing with other difficulties, then you need to watch more of my videos that are talking about having a difficult spouse. If you're the only one that's making an effort, or there's videos on irresponsibility and videos on substance abuse and things like that. So I hope this has helped. And like I said, give yourself grace for going through a tough time, and allow yourself to be real, and do this one day at a time, and do it the best you can. And know that there are seasons. There are seasons in life where economies get tough, and you're not the only one going through it, although it is hard. So, okay, this has changed my relationship. And like I said, there's so many other resources I have. So please go to my website, check them out. And if you have any questions or anything that you want me to address, please email me at carla@changemyrelationship.com.